sales for Signworld. And also on camera, you see a panel of our owners. We have 14 users on the call right now, including our 5 Signworld members. So we would like to ask everybody if you could please mute yourselves, and then when it's your turn to ask questions, to remember to mute yourself. But for the time being, if everyone could mute themselves, we'd appreciate it. Our agenda for the day is I'll introduce our Signworld panel. Then Jack Warner, our president, will give us some definitions. Then I'm going to show a very short slideshow, and then we're going to open it up to questions. When you ask your questions, all 4 Signworld owners will answer your questions one by one. You'll get 4 answers to every question that you ask. We would recommend if you kept your questions simple and open-ended so that the panel owners could answer them. So if you refer to the users on the right-hand side of your screen, Lyle, you'll be the first one up. And then Jerry Rydell will be next, followed by Joseph Mihalik, Keith Wody, I hope I pronounced it right, Keith. Then Christy and Donna Allen, and then Don, who signed in without a last name. Is that Don Conklin? Yes, our Signworld owner. Then Jason Evans, and on down the list. So when it is your turn, please be ready. We do a round-robin fashion where you ask a question, we move on to the next person, then the next person, then back around to the beginning. But there will be plenty of time to ask all of your questions. So let me introduce our panel. Up on the top left-hand part of your screen, Helen McKinstry. Give us a wave, Helen. Helen is a Signworld owner in Austin, Texas. Helen, how long have you been in business?
Opened our doors a little over 2 years ago.
Okay, and how many square feet are you in?
1766.
1,766 square feet. How many employees are you up to now?
I have 4.
And what's your projected gross sales for this year?
450,000.
And Helen, tell everyone what you used to do in your former career.
I was with IBM for 32 years. I was a business consulting executive and a software engineering executive there.
Okay, thanks for joining us today. Next is Larry Foster. Larry, give us a wave. Larry Foster, how long have you been a Signworld owner?
18 years.
18 years, wow. And how many square feet are you in?
8,000.
And how many employees are you up to now?
11.
And what's your projected gross sales this year?
1.6 million.
And Larry, tell everybody what you used to do in your former career.
I worked for Kmart for 27 years and left them as the vice president of operations.
And is it true you started as a stock boy?
I did. Started in the stock rooms.
All right. Next is Jack Warner. Jack, we're going to pause on him and come back. We'll move over to Don. It's Don Conklin. Don's in Buford, Georgia. And Don, how many years have you been in business now?
8 years this week.
8 years. And how many square feet are you in, Don?
9,000.
And how many employees are you up to now?
15.
And what's your projected gross sales this year, Don?
3.3 million.
3.3 million. And Don, what you used to do in your former career?
I was at Bell South / AT&T on customer operations and support.
Okay. And last but not least is Jack Warner, but before before Jack starts, someone might have joined us that's driving in the car with the air conditioning on. If they would mute themselves, we'd appreciate it. Go ahead, Jack.
I joined Signworld 24 years ago, started in 1,200 square feet, ended up in 5,000 square feet, with a staff of 11 doing about 1.3 million in sales. Before Signworld, I was general manager of a wholesale food distribution company. When I sold my business, I joined Ken at the corporate office to learn his end of the business, and we worked as a partnership for a number of years. Then I finished buying Ken out 5 years ago, took over Signworld office. So when I speak today, answering questions, if it goes to my experience running an operation, I'll speak from their perspective. If it goes to training and policy and that, I'll speak from that perspective today. So depending on the question, I'll answer from most appropriate. A couple of definitions for everybody here on the call. A lot of times people confuse us with printers. Printers do the commodity items, the brochures, business cards, letterheads, etc. And because of desktop publishing, e-reading, and being able to purchase on the internet, it's an industry that's pretty stagnant and not doing real well. Please don't confuse us with them. While we're taking many times the same pictures, words, graphics, and logos, we're doing the unusual production. As small as a postage stamp, the entire side of a building, unusual materials and thicknesses and variety to it. But it's the application after printing. We're not putting it in a box and handing it to the customer. We're screwing it to the post, gluing it to the wall, sticking it in the ground, putting it on the vehicle. Something you can investigate on the internet, but you can't order on the internet. So the internet's a great resource for us to get customers, and then it's taking care of them personally. That allows our business to be one that's growing. There's more signs world today than there were yesterday. There'll be more tomorrow. It's an industry that's still growing. The other comment I want to make is Signworld's set up not as a franchise, but as an owner's alliance. A franchise is appropriate if it's a cookie-cutter approach to a different customer every day for the rest of your life. The rule book is critical. The supply chain is very controlled, and many times in an industry dominated by big names. Sign business is custom manufacturing to small core repeat customers. So the rule book doesn't apply. Some of the commonalities don't apply. They each operate under their own name. This is an industry that's not dominated by any one big player. So having a unique name allows you some benefits of no rules and no royalties. A lot of sign owners will tell you that they like to sign business, the business model, but they also like the flexibility of no rules, no royalties. So please don't confuse us with a franchise. Ken, your first slide is up if you want to start the slideshow.
Okay. Signworld Business Partners. We're not a franchise. We're a business owners alliance. We are family. We are friends. We work together on projects. We share profit. We share employees. We share supplies. Get together, talk story. We're full service sign companies. We're going to teach you all about both indoor and outdoor signs. We charge no royalties. It's a one-time buy-in. We have no rules. Starts with the name. You can name this whatever you want to name it. Change your prices, change your suppliers, no questions asked. This is manufacturing. You are making a tangible product and giving it to your customer. 98% of all the signs in the world are indoors. The average life is 30 days. They change every month. In December, they say Christmas, happy holidays. In January, half off. Right now, they say back to school. That's where the money is at, is having customers who have to change their signs every month.
Yeah, another slideshow that's stuck.
Stuck? Where are you stuck on?
Stuck at manufacturing.
I don't know what to say.
And just go ahead and talk it through
of all the signs in the world. They change every month. You start with yourself and one employee. This is an experienced sign maker. Someone, we will help you find them. We will interview them. We will test them, and they can go to all of our training programs. You will add additional employees as you grow your business. This is a one-location business. We recommend 2,500 square feet, light industrial business park, and then grow from there. This is business to business. Your customers are all the other businesses in town. Your hours posted on your door are 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. Your customers do not expect you to be open at night and on the weekends. 80% of your gross annual sales will come from your top 20 customers. These are people who have to buy signs every month. Total investment all in is $210,000. That includes $30,000 of working capital to see you through the early months. Signworld's been in business since 1988, and we've never had any legal action. We have never ever sued anyone. We've never ever been sued by anyone. We've never been to mediation or arbitration. That has to tell you something. That has to tell you how well we take care of our 340 Signworld owners. You're going to receive outstanding support not only from our corporate staff, but our 340 owners, as I said earlier, we're family, we're friends. What sets Signworld apart? No rules, no royalties, weekly sales training in a webinar fashion. And if you follow the program, 50 to 90% of your new business can come from the internet, which means the customer is chasing you. You're not chasing the customer. If you follow the program, you'll never have time to go cold. Owners do not make signs. You'll be taught how to make them. You'll always know how to make them. But your job is to run the business. Your job is to take care of the customers. Again, we're the commercial sign companies. We're located in the business park, the light industrial area. We are not, and I repeat, we are not these retail sign stores that you see in the shopping centers, the strip malls, and out on the main street. Jack, my slides are still not showing?
No, we still don't see you on screen either. Your whole internet is gone.
Okay, so
We'll switch over to questions.
yeah, we're done. Give me a second here. Okay, I'm coming back. There we go. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's open it up to questions. So, Lyle, if you'd like to come off and mute, say hello, audio check.
Okay, hi everyone. Can you hear me? This is Lyle
Go ahead.
from
Yes,
Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Hi everybody. Yes, please. I have kind of a couple of areas that I'm most interested in, so I'll start with one. And it has to do with new business generation. So if you guys could comment about, you mentioned that 50 to 90% or 59% of new business comes in via the internet. How hard it is, how long does it take to get that kind of thing going? And, what kind of skill levels do you need to kind of do that? And does your system help support that? Just if you could speak to the new business end of it a little bit, that would be great. Thank you.
Okay. Jack, you want to start out and say first provide in training and what we offer them, and then we'll have the owners respond.
Well, we're going to spend a lot of time not only pre-opening training and marketing, talking about 56 different activities you can do so you never ever have to go knocking on doors. But of those 56, 5 are big ones and the rest are embellishment of it. You know, you're going to reach out to the contact database of people who already have, not to sell them a sign, but to offer your ability to handle their upcoming project very consultative. You're going to get more involved in the local community to join the Chamber of Commerce, the networking group, the Rotary Club. Having weekly sales training classes, teaching how to be more effective at that. So we're not just telling you to go do it, but we're really talking a lot about it. While the internet is developed, before you open, we're going to help you build an elaborate website, loading it with pictures borrowed out of a large library, and then teaching you over the next number of months how to turn that into the dominant player in your market so that most Signworld owners will tell you by the end of the first year they don't have time to do networking anymore. The internet has taken over the big part of it. From there, it's referrals from one customer to the next. And from there, it's turning into those repeat customers that come back every week, every month to give you the next project. So, Ken, go ahead and ask your questions from there.
Okay, Helen McKinstry. Helen, what percent of your new business today, new business, not repeat, what percent of your new business comes from the internet?
Probably about 80%.
80%. And so is it working for you, working well? How long before it kicked in for you?
The internet, well, I will tell you in my first 6 months, after my first 6 months, I did a little analysis, and maybe about 75% was from my personal networking, and 30% was from the internet. I knew that wasn't scalable because I wanted to grow because there's only so much of me to go around. So I engaged a digital marketing firm. They kicked in within a couple of months after I made that decision, and since then that's been working really well for us. That combined with ongoing, things we do to keep our website active, current, and Google reviews and things like that.
Larry Foster, 18 years in business, Detroit, Michigan area. We would assume, Larry, that number one, a great deal of your business is repeat. So how much of your business is repeat?
Repeat business is about 85%.
And then your new business, the 15% new business, we would also assume that a great deal of that would come from referrals, having been around so long.
Yeah, they do. We actually get more from our website than the referrals, but about of the 15% of my new business, about 75% of that comes from the website.
All right, that's great. Don Conklin, same with 8 years in business, Don. What percent of your business is repeat?
Of my money, but 60%.
Don, your audio is bad. Could you pick up the phone?
I don't think it's my audio. Ken. I think it's someone in the background, Ken. Can someone mute their phone, please?
There you go.
That's better. There you go. 60% of my business is repeat business. Of the other 50% is referral. 50% off the internet.
Okay. And Jack? I came from the days of Yellow Page ads. I wish I had the internet. It would have been good to have. All right. Jerry Rydell. Jerry, come off the mute. Say hello. Audio check.
Good afternoon, everybody. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, so the printing industry, I'm sorry, and the cardinal mistake there, that the sign industry is completely new to me. I came out of an industry that took years really to fully understand and master before I could be an owner myself. So I guess I'm curious for the owners. It sounds like none of them came from the sign industry. How long did it take to have a really good working knowledge to know the business enough that you felt confident, you knew what you were doing? How good was the Signworld training in helping you along with that? Did you hire employees that knew the sign making business maybe
be better than you did. Take my specific questions and just broaden that out, please, and give me a little context.
Helen McKinstry?
So, yes, I knew nothing about the sign industry when I started. Where you're going to get your help getting going quickly is, number one, the training from Signworld. Number two, and this is not in any particular order. Another one is the network of other Signworld owners was phenomenally and continues to be phenomenally valuable to me. You can always reach out to people who've done a type of sign you've never seen before. The third element, again, not in that order, is my first employee was hired as an experienced sign maker and graphic designer. So that individual brought their expertise to the business as well. So I would say those three things got me off to what I felt was a good start.
Larry Foster, when you started, there wasn't the internet.
No, there wasn't. When we started, I was like Jack. We had yellow pages, but when you start, the training that you go through with Signworld is outstanding. You really do. You spend enough time in Signworld locations, in the training center. When you leave there and you go back and you set up your new location, you're pretty confident about what you're doing. You don't know everything, but you're confident enough to go out there, and you soon find out very quickly that you know more than what your customer knows. And you hire someone with experience when you get started out. So if there's something that you are not sure of, you've got that person to rely on. And as Helen said, you've got a complete infrastructure of Signworld owners that you can count on as well.
Don Conklin?
I would just say this is not rocket science. It's you design a sign, you make a sign, you install a sign. There's plenty of people in the industry that know how to do that. Being in telecommunications was much more difficult. Training out of Signworld is great. You learn as you move forward, but again, it's not a very difficult business if you can be diligent about learning what's going on.
Jack, your thoughts?
Adding to that, in the beginning, you're taking on simpler projects, smaller projects, and growing into the more complicated things. Being able to pass on anything that you don't think you can handle, so you make it manageable to you. While there's a learning curve, as there is in any business, the blessing of the sign business is that it is so diverse that you never stop learning. We've got 40 operations that have hit up what we call our career club at 20 years and more. Larry's getting close to that. When I go to those more mature operations and say, I bet you're getting bored, their answer is always, no, I'm still learning new stuff today. It's still challenging and interesting. So manageable and yet keeps it interesting.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
Mahaley? Joseph, come off and mute. Say hello. Audio check.
Hello.
Can you hear me? Yes, we can hear you, Joseph. Go ahead.
Oh, I don't see my picture on the screen, so I don't know if I'm connected or not. But I'm a potential Signworld owner. So I'm here just to learn and hear what all the experiences that people have had with their startups and also with the ones that are continuing running.
Okay. If you have questions later on, you can type them in the public chat at the very bottom, Joseph, if you come up with questions.
Okay, we'll do that. Thank you.
Keith Wody, are you there, Keith? Come off of mute. Hello, Keith. Hello, Keith. We cannot hear you. How about Christy and Donald Allen? Christy and Donald Allen, are you there? Come off of mute.
We're here.
Say hello.
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you. Go ahead.
All right. If there was one thing you could go back and do differently in the beginning, what would it be?
Helen, what would you do differently?
But, interestingly enough, I get asked that question a lot. There's very little I would do differently. The one thing that I've identified is I discovered early on we didn't have any trucks in my family, and I needed a truck, and so I bought a truck, and I bought a brand new truck. And if I had to do it over, I would still go after a very reliable truck, but I'd probably look for a used one. Other than that, I've been pretty happy with the decisions I've made.
Okay. And how long were you in business before you bought your truck?
About 5 months. The day I had to borrow my employee's mother's van, I made the decision that I needed a truck.
So is this a truck, or is this a van? What is this?
No, I got a Toyota Tundra long bed.
Okay, pickup truck.
Pickup truck.
Pickup truck. Larry Foster, what would you do differently 18 years ago?
Well, I'm a little bit like Helen. There's not a lot I would do differently. The answer that I like to give, I would love to have started this earlier in my life. That'd be the first thing. But the other thing is I didn't promote the business right away. I focused on getting my building ready, and I didn't go out and try to find new customers right away. And so as a result, I think the first few months were a little slow, and I could have sped that up.
Don Conklin, what would you have done differently 8 years ago?
I'm with Larry. I would have pre-marketed my business earlier so that I had revenue flowing when I first opened my doors. That's about the only thing I would change.
Jack Werner, what would you have done differently?
You know, it's one of the things that I try and teach in training is because we're a business that touches every other business, it's the power of the people that already know and believe in you. So no customer should be a dead end. If you're not leveraging your existing customers to somebody they have a connection to somebody else, that's how you get to the big customers, because you probably may not know those big customers. So if one can get you to the next, that grows the business.
I'll ditto what Larry Foster said, but I think if you could ask 340 Signworld owners what they would do differently, a great number of them would say, I would have done this sooner in life and not waited so long. So if you're sitting on the fence, don't wait. Donald Allen. Donald, do you have a question?
Sorry about that. I was having a hard time finding the mute button.
Go ahead.
We were asking. Okay. The thing is, Christy and I were talking. Helen had talked about a truck. Did any of the business owners in the first year or so invest in a bucket truck by chance?
Larry Foster, how long before you bought a truck?
Before I bought a truck, it was in the first year. I don't know, probably close to a year.
And a bucket truck?
Pickup truck.
A pickup truck.
Pickup truck. When did you buy your bucket truck? How many years in business?
That was probably, I don't know, 6 or 7 years after I started.
Okay. Don Conklin, how long before you bought any kind of truck?
Bought a van 2 years in, bought a bucket truck 3 years in.
Van 2 years in, a bucket truck 3 years in. And Jack Werner?
I was probably 6 years in before I bought a bucket truck. Out of 340 Signworld operations, you got about 45 that have bought their own bucket trucks. Usually in years 3, 4, 5. Very, very seldom have any bought it sooner than that. I've had some conversation with Don and Christy about this topic, and you know, for some people it might be fine to do it earlier. Others maybe later, and some never. It's really finding out the niches of business that you want to get into. Start as a generalist and allow the niches to come to you.
May we add that our largest Signworld owner, largest one, owns no trucks of any kind, none. Jason Evans, come off the mute, say hello.
Hello, everyone. I was wondering if you could tell me what you think the biggest threat is to the sign industry, what keeps you up at night, what worries you, having come from the printing industry and having seen that decline, what worries you in this industry?
Helen, what worries you?
There's nothing in the industry, quite frankly, that worries me. There's a lot of demand. I'm not seeing something that's going to cause any kind of a technology disruption for this industry. The thing that I focus on that's going to continue to make me a very relevant player is responsiveness and how I serve my customers. It's less about the industry and the technology and more about how I serve my customers. That's what I focus on, and that's what keeps us relevant and winning and growing.
Larry Foster, 18 years in business. You see any threats on the horizon?
No, I really don't. It's such a stable industry. Technology changes, so you're making similar products with different equipment, maybe, but there isn't anything that threatens the industry. It's so stable. People talk about the internet, that people can buy anything on the internet. We're a custom sign company, so you can't buy what I sell on the internet. Probably the one category over the years that I've seen go down is banners. I don't sell as many banners, but all the other stuff is the same or more than I have ever sold.
Don Conklin, threats?
And I don't see any threats. I mean, signs are signs. Even in downturns, people need signs. If you see a recession going on, people need more for sale signs. And even if you're going bankrupt, you need to going out of bankrupt signs. So, no, I don't see any threats really to the industry.
Hey, Jack Warner, your thoughts?
The only threat I can see is either getting too deep with any one customer or getting too deep with any one niche, where that niche could go away. So having some diversity and keeping your eye on the entire market, our industry will never go away. It's going to evolve and change, but it'll never go away. It's continuing to grow. And it's not dominated by any one company. It's over a $50 billion industry with the largest in the industry being at about $200 million. So you're not being taken over by any one monster of anybody.
John Momont. John, come off of mute. Say hello.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you fine. Go ahead.
My question is related to management. I'm a current business owner, very active in the management of the business that I own, looking to have a diversification to that business with the sign industry seems very interesting. Running this as a manager that has two different businesses, do you see that as something that could be done, or are you guys pretty much hands-on and it takes all your capacity to deal with this?
Helen, do you think you could run two different businesses today?
So I set up my business so that I would be able to walk away from it temporarily or when I chose to. So my goals were to bring on the right staff and implement processes that are making this business eventually. My goal is to make it a self-sustainable business. It doesn't rely on me being there every day. Am I still in the process? Absolutely. I'm a little over 2 years in. But I'm pretty proud of what I've done in terms of setting up processes and having the right people here. They know what to do if I'm not here every day. Am I here every day? Yeah. But they know what to do if I call in with the flu or if I take a week of vacation. So if your goal is to run two businesses, you need to focus on bringing in the right employees and setting up the right processes to make that possible.
Larry Foster, with your stability after 18 years, could you bring on or start another business?
I could. I've worked really hard at building an organization, and my organization runs my business. It is not dependent on me to be here for anything. As Jack or Ken would point out, I play a lot of golf. I'm gone 3 days a week playing golf, and my organization does what they're supposed to do. So I might have to cut back on golf, which I'm not going to do, but I think I could do two.
Don Conklin?
Yeah, it wouldn't be an issue. I could do two businesses. That's not a problem. One thing I will add, though, is that this is not a owner absent business, though. Especially like some other models that I know about, you do have to be involved to get the business going, get the business up and running. But you can put processes in place on a going forward basis. But it's not like you can buy a gym and hire someone that's a manager for the gym, and you can just write the checks and collect the checks. You have to be involved in the business.
Jack Warner, your thoughts?
I've had conversation with John with this. If you were coming out of corporate America and trying to start two businesses at the same time, probably overwhelming. But if you've got a business up and running that is running pretty much on its own in many ways, and you've had the experience of running a business, then taking something like this on, knowing that you've got to delegate some things off, but yet still being an active participant in the business can be very doable. Ken, I'm going to start a couple slideshows, ladies and gentlemen. These are going to go on in the background. They don't have any audio to them, and we're going to have continued conversations while we watch these videos or slideshows. The first one speaks to or shows some of the owners, the inside and outside of their operations, so you can see how unique and diverse they are. The second slideshow goes to what is a sign. Not only what are we capable of making with the original equipment, what are we going to outsource to begin with, and then long-term bringing those projects in-house. And then the third part of the slideshow shows things that we would call a sign you might not consider. Our world is bigger than you think. And then the last slideshow is going to show part of our wall of fame, some of the projects Signworld owners have done. They start off doing simple projects and going into bigger projects. So, Ken, go ahead with questions while these slideshows go on.
Okay, next, Matt Stein. Come off the mute, Matt. Say hello.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me?
We can hear you fine, Matt. Go ahead.
Fantastic. Thanks for taking the time. When we talk about the quote unquote big customers who we all want to have our businesses, grow to achieve the customers that need, repeat signs on a monthly or a weekly basis, what type of industries are most valuable to target to achieve those results, and what type of products are they buying from you?
I'll rattle off the top 7, and then the rest of them can chime in. Number 1, corporations. Number 2, franchises. Number 3, distributors. Number 4, chains. Number 5, real estate general contractors. Number 6, real estate property managers. And number 7, advertising agencies. Helen, who are your 2 biggest customers, and what's their industry?
My 2 biggest customers are both property managers, actually. We're getting a lot of ongoing repeat business from them, and in that world, we also get a lot of referrals from them to the tenants that are in their commercial space.
Larry Foster, 18 years in business. Who are your 2 biggest customers in the industry that they're in?
My biggest customer that I have is a chain of automotive junkyards. It's a company called Pick and Pull that are found throughout the U.S. and Canada. The second largest company is actually fairly new to me. I've been doing them for about a year and a half, and it's a franchise, and it is called Crunch Fitness, and it's similar to a Planet Fitness or something like that. And we do all of their new stores.
Okay, and Don Conklin, who are your 2 biggest customers?
They are franchises. One's an education franchise. One's a physical fitness franchise.
Okay, and Jack Werner, when you ran your business, who were your 2 biggest customers in the industry?
One was a retail store that sold barbecue grills. They opened up 12 to 15 new stores a year, and it was a $20,000 per location order, so it was about a $300,000 a year customer. Second one was a regional developer for Subway with 200 locations. It was also about a $250,000 a year customer.
So in both cases, franchises.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Pete Stanka. Pete, come off of mute. Say hello.
Hello, everybody. How you doing? Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Pete. Go ahead.
Great. Hey, I'm just question about, is there a seasonality to this business? As I think about potentially joining and becoming a sign owner, is there a better time of the year to start into the business? And then once I'm up and running, is it pretty even throughout the year, or is it better during the holiday, that type of thing?
Well, let's start with the oldest. Larry Foster, after 18 years, or any seasonality?
Surprisingly, there's very little. Our sales are very consistent month to month, and you have spikes certainly when big projects are completed. But overall, I would say no. If there is a time that it does slow down a little bit. It's those last 2 weeks in December, the first 2 weeks in January, and that's not a bad time for things to be a little slower.
Don Conklin, 8 years in business, Buford, Georgia. Does any seasonality to your business?
Not really. It gets a little bit slower around Christmas time, a little bit slower around the 4th of July. But besides that, not really a whole lot of seasonality.
Helen McKinstry, 2 years in business. Any seasonality?
Yeah, so it's slight, but we do notice a bit of a slowdown November, December, and usually there's 1 month in the summer. It gets a little bit slower. Doesn't dive at all, but it does a bit slower. We take advantage of that in December. I choose to close for a full week at Christmas. Everybody gets a week off, and so we kind of take advantage of it.
And Jack Warner, your thoughts?
Interior signs go on all year long, but there is a little bit of seasonality based on where they're located. I think some of the ones in the snow country, the Minneapolis, the Buffalo, the Detroit, might see a little bit of slowdown of projects in the winter outside, while the ones in Phoenix and Houston and Florida see a little bit of slowdown in July, August because it's too hot outside. So you just focus interior signs during those periods and you don't see it any kind of
Jorge Gilling. Jorge, come off of mute. Say hello.
Yeah, good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you fine. Go ahead.
So, yeah, hello. I really don't have any specific questions. I'm just also exploring the possibilities of opening a shop. So this is very helpful just to hear everybody else's questions and experience, but no specific questions for me at this time.
Okay. Well, if you have any later on, Jorge, just type them in the very bottom right-hand corner of your screen. Just wait for the question if you have one later. Okay. Sean Baker. Sean, come off of mute. Say hello. Sean Baker.
Hi, Sean Baker here in Tampa, Florida. I was just doing a little research myself, getting more and more information, and again, it's refreshing to hear some honesty in what you think and how you run your business. But I currently don't have any questions myself.
Okay, thanks for joining us, Sean. And likewise, if you do have questions, type them in the bottom right-hand corner. Kathy Hoffman-Young. Kathy, come off of mute. Say hello. Audio check.
Hello. What is the best piece of advice that you could give to a new Signworld owner?
Alan McKinstry, what's your best piece of advice to a brand new owner?
Get busy forming your, I'll use the corporate term ecosystem, but get busy getting to know all your partners in your area. And by partners, I mean get to know your vendors, get to know, start building up subcontractors that you might want to use for install. People who have bucket trucks you don't. Get to know other sign businesses. Do not be shy about going and visiting other sign businesses in the area. The vast majority of them are very open to ongoing collaboration. Being a custom business, inevitably one sign company can do something another cannot, and so collaborating is of great value. So get to know your vendors, get to know the other sign businesses, get to know your subcontractors, start building those networks early and build up lots of subs that you can rely on so you got multiple places to go.
Larry Foster, what piece of advice would you give to a brand new Signworld owner?
Well, mine would be the thing that I didn't do, and that would be to go after the business right away. Begin to promote your business, join the chamber, join the BNI groups, and get the name out. Anytime you talk to somebody, you let them know that you're going into the business, and you would appreciate it if they consider you on anything that they need.
Now, just to clarify what Larry said right away, if you were to sign the Signworld contract today, by the time you open, after all the training and setup and everything, it's going to be 3 months, 90 days before you open. So, Larry, when would you start the networking? As soon as you sign the contract, then 3 months before you open, or would you waited and done it day one when you open?
Well, I would do it, I guess, more in stages. Certainly, anybody that you meet, and it could be other businesses, it could be relatives, it could be anybody. I'd start right away. You want people to know you're going into the business. I might, the B&Is in the chamber, I might wait until after I've gone through the training. It might be a little bit too soon before you went through the training, but certainly before you open, you want to begin to promote that.
Don Conklin, your thoughts?
What I would say is, as a new owner, you have to have a plan. You have to know what you want to do and what you want to accomplish. I know Jack and Ken talk about this in training all the time, but you need to know how much activity you have, how many estimates you need to write, how many orders you need to write, how much sales activity you need to have to get to the area that you want to get. Yeah, getting out there and getting to the customers is great, but you have to be tracking, and it's an activity-based business, and until you start building up that activity base, you're not going to be able to bring revenue in the door. So I would say tracking, and have a plan to get where you want to get.
Okay. Al, Steve, I'm sorry, Jack, your thoughts. What advice would you give to a new owner?
Hire carefully, nurture the staff, and delegate to them. Biggest challenge is there's a lot of things to do, and if you're busy working in the business instead of working on the business, nobody is working on the business. So you got to keep your focus on the big picture, and that means you got to delegate out to the staff. The other is to just stay connected. To be out there on your own and trying to figure it all out doesn't make sense. There's so much help, either through the corporate staff or the other owners, that staying connected and really talking to everybody else in the system is what's really going to help you make sure you don't have any miscues.
Okay. Hal Stevens. Hal, are you there? Come on from mute. Say hello.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
We can hear you fine, Hal. Go ahead.
All right. My question has more to do with plant and equipment, the building and the equipment that we need to actually produce the signs. At startup, what do we need? What do we get? What are the limitations? How long do we anticipate that setup should last?
Okay, Jack, do you want to start out?
Sure. The slideshow you're seeing right now is showing you all the things that you're able to make with the initial equipment. If you think about it, most signs in the world are either two-dimensional or three-dimensional. What you're going to make in-house with your own equipment are the two-dimensional signs, whether it's stop signs, street signs, real estate signs, banners, posters, trade show graphics, vehicle wraps, wall graphics, floor graphics, window graphics. All the two-dimensional graphics in the world is what your equipment should be able to produce. What you're going to need to outsource are three-dimensional signs. Sandblasted signs, carved signs, neon signs, ADA braille signs for the blind, brass letters for the attorney's office, awnings, monuments. We have a roster of manufacturers that will make those things for you until you get to the point where you can justify bringing the equipment in-house and eliminating the subcontractors. So everything in the world is deliverable from day one, whether you made it in the back room or you outsourced it. The initial equipment should have enough capacity to it to get you to a volume of about a $600,000 run rate, about a $150 net income before you should need to buy more embellishment equipment on the in-house stuff. The outsourcing things that you might bring in your own CNC router engraving equipment is going to be based on how much of that business you're doing and when you can justify bringing that equipment in.
Okay. Stephen, I'm sorry, Helen, have you added to your startup package at all of equipment?
The only thing we've added is a substrate cutter. We're actively looking at a router right now.
Okay, but the substrate cutter costs how much?
I got about one for about $3,500.
Okay. Larry Foster, 18 years in business. How long did the startup package of equipment last you before you added additional equipment?
The first additional piece of equipment that I bought, major piece, was a second printer, and that was after 5 years. My lease was up after 5 years, and I had the printer delivered to the new location before I was there. So that's it.
Don Conklin, 8 years in business. How long did the startup package last you before you bought significant additional equipment?
A good 2.5 years.
Okay. Stephen, come off the mute. Stephen, say hello. Stephen, tell us your last name, please.
Hey there, everybody. My last name is Komives, Komives. It's a Hungarian name, if anyone's interested. I'm calling from Orlando, Florida, and I wanted to ask about territory. If territory issues ever come into play, if you ever find yourself in competition with other Signworld owners, or how you go about like expanding your territories, for instance, as well.
All right, got it. Helen, where you live, Austin, Texas, you have Signworld owners all around you. Do you compete with each other?
On a rare occasion, I find out that we might be competing on the same job, but it's rare. I typically don't run into those other owners other than when we're having a conversation about helping each other out.
Okay. And Larry Foster, you too are surrounded by other Signworld owners. Do you compete with them?
Not directly, no. And if by chance we're quoting on the same customer, we probably don't even know it. But I very seldom run across one of the other owners.
And on the other hand, are you friends and family, and do you work on projects together?
We do. We do that a lot. In fact, one of our new owners that's just going to open up in the market, I spent the day with him yesterday, and he's going to come over again next week, and we're going to help him get a good start.
Okay. Don Conklin, you're also surrounded by other Signworld owners. Do you compete with them?
No, there's 23 Signworlds in Atlanta. I don't think we ever run into each other from a competition standpoint, but as far as expanding territory, 40% of my business is outside of the state of Georgia, and 90% of my business is outside of my assigned territory. So I would say there's plenty of opportunity to sell wherever your customers take you.
Jack Warner, your thoughts?
Signworld owners have others around them, and it's never ever been an issue. You're going after niche in the business. You're going after certain types of customers and products. The chance of running into each other is really non-existent. When it does, it's really very rare. The owners have bought into this idea of, I'd rather help each other for free than pay a royalty and get all the answers top down. So they know that they need the help of each other more than they want to take away business from each other. As you get into large customers, you're sharing customers. The hospital has multiple people that order signs. You might have the HR department, or the facilities department, or the transportation department, or the cancer research, or the marketing department. There's multiple people within a company that order signs for their department. So you can have parts of companies more than you can have whole companies. It's just not an issue.
All right, and I believe we've covered everyone. Is there anyone on the call who has not had a chance to ask a question? Please introduce yourself and let me acknowledge you. Anybody not?
Okay. Yeah, hey, this is Brad Rainey. I just decided to listen in and didn't log into the website, so I've enjoyed the conversation.
Tell us
your
name again, please.
Brad Rainey.
Okay, go ahead, Brad.
I just very early in the process spoke with Jack yesterday, the day before. Spent some time with him. I wanted to listen in on this conversation. Very helpful. I'm very impressed with everything you present heard this afternoon.
Okay.
And
is there anybody else who has not had a chance to ask a question?
Hi, Ken. Hi, this is John Vegas.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, your first name again?
This is John Vegas. Good afternoon.
Oh, go ahead, John. Good afternoon. Go ahead,
Thank
John,
you.
with your question.
Absolutely. Great call. My question specifically relates to kind of the competitive landscape. So I'm assuming many of the customers are buying signs from someone today, and what are the primary drivers that drive them giving the business?
to you? The speed, logistics, design, price. I mean, so both of those would be helpful. Thank you.
Okay, let's go backwards. Let's start with Larry Foster, 18 years in business. Why do people come to you, Larry? Somebody else has been taking care of them for all these years, and how come they switched to you?
Well, that assumption is probably wrong. They've probably found very poor service in our industry. It's one of the good things that I find in this industry is that our many of our competitors really don't keep up with their jobs. They lose track of customers. They get busy. They don't get back to people, and they just don't do what they promise. And that just opens the door for us. And if you really focus on that and you communicate and you do what you promise, you are going to get a lot of new business, and you're going to keep those customers.
Don Conklin, Buford, Georgia, just said that 40% of his business is out of the state. Why are these people coming to you, Don, instead of the sign company that they used to have?
Well, I would tell you that our distinctive advantage is our customer service, and it's our quality of service, our speed of service, which is really what sets us apart, and then our people providing the service. So not any other sign company in my area or that I've run into can do all three of those effectively at the same time. So quality, speed, people providing, and that's what knocks it out of the park for us.
Okay, Helen, 2 years in business in Austin, Texas. Got to be a lot of sign companies around there. Why would people come to you?
It's speed of responsiveness, quality of the interaction we have with them, and then somebody managing the project. So really, it does get back to all about the service that you're providing the client, how quickly you can get back to them, and how well you stay in communication with them. That's why they come. They get frustrated with people they worked with before because they couldn't get them to call them back, couldn't get them to communicate with them effectively.
Okay, thank you. Jack, do you want to have anything to add?
Just a couple of things. This is an industry that's been around for thousands of years. There's competitors out there. But most of those are owned by former sign makers, people who are doers in the back room, not planners. The people that are looking at Signworld have been multi-tasking project managers, and so it's their ability to respond to customers and take care of them. In today's world, we look at the internet for ideas, and if you can be dominant on the internet and then be responsive, you're going to get customers that they forgot to call the old guy back because they're tired of them. As all of you are between careers, the person that, if you happen to be the buyer where you used to work, you're not there anymore ordering signs and your replacement doesn't remember where you bought them. They're on the internet because the other sign companies' response are reactive, not proactive. They don't even know you're looking for signs or waiting for you to call. There's plenty of business out there if you just follow what we teach.
Okay. For all of our guests on the call, if anybody has any more questions, please type them in the bottom right-hand corner. Type in your questions in the bottom right-hand corner. To my panel members, we're almost close to being out of time, so very short answers, please. Very short answers. Ed Ross asks, are there any particular most profitable jobs to pursue when you first start? Most profitable jobs to pursue when you first start. Helen?
Window and wall vinyl.
Okay. Larry?
Do a lot of automobiles too, a lot of business trucks and cars.
Don?
Banners.
Jack?
Anything that comes off of your own equipment rather than subcontracting, you're always going to have best margins out of the printed projects.
Okay, next question is about repeat customers. So the regular reorders. What are these projects from your bigger customers? Helen?
We actually don't have a lot of regular reorders. What we have is customers who come back with having us service different things across their properties. Again, my repeat customers are property managers, so it's new signs, it's repair and maintenance across their properties, and then us servicing a lot of their tenants who are putting new signs in outside and in.
And Larry Foster, as you mentioned, your biggest customer is Pick and Pull, so those are just ordering the same stuff over and over?
Yes, they do. We actually have provided them, all of their locations, with an ordering catalog so that it's just easy. They have a picture and it's got almost a stock number that they order. And it's foam signs, aluminum signs, banners, that type of thing.
And what's the total value in a year of this one customer?
About $225,000.
Okay. Don Conklin, tell us about reorders.
With my franchises, they're opening a new location, or they're expanding a location, or they're moving a location. Those are the majority of my reorders.
And Jack Werner, when you were in business, what were your reorders?
You would think once the subway is open, they're done. If you think back in time, Subway used to be yellow on brown, they changed to yellow on black, then they changed to yellow on green, then they changed the font, then they changed the outline, then they changed the logo again. Every 4 to 5 years, every single sign they own gets replaced and redone.
Okay. Lyle asks, how difficult is it to hire a new sign maker? Ellen?
You just have to have a well thought out process for how you get the posting out there and how you're going to be efficient with your time, screening the interviews, sending back questions via email for clarification, jumping on for a 15-minute screening call, and then doing a face-to-face. If you've got a process lined up, and Signworld will help walk you through this during training. So they'll provide some guidance and some assistance, but you just put together a process that uses your time efficiently. And I interviewed, I've had to hire a couple times in sign makers and, gotten some good candidates and bad candidates, but with that process, the time was used wisely and I got some good candidates to choose from.
Larry Foster, 18 years in business. Is it true you still have your very first employee?
I do. Yes.
And how hard is it to hire new employees?
Well, I'm going to be honest. It's probably more difficult now than it has been in a while, but and that has to do with the economy. There's people are working, so it's a little more difficult. But it's we use Indeed, we use our vendors, we use people that work for us, know people. So we haven't had any difficulty, but it may take a little bit longer than it used to.
Okay. Don Conklin, how hard is it to find good sign makers?
Oh, I still have my first employee, too. Come here.
You married her.
I still have my first employee, too. Say hi. So, but, no, it's there's plenty of opportunity to find people in the marketplace. We do it all the time.
Jack Werner?
Signworld provides a lot of help. They're working down the street with a boss that doesn't say thank you, never appreciates them, never gives them a raise. Having them work on antiquated equipment as a number 2, 3, or 4 guy. So they're all looking to have a better life. It's your chance to hire a small team and treat them like family.
Okay. Jack, we don't have any more questions. You want to close it out?
Okay. Well, first off, for Larry, Helen, and Don, thank you so much. We know you're all busy days and you took time out to help, and we truly appreciate you guys here. You show what this organization is like. For those of you on the call, if you're interested in digging deeper, back to Ken, Dan, or myself and have more conversation. We'll have another webinar just like this 3 weeks from now on the 18th, same time. Discover Days coming up are either Friday, September 20th or Friday, October 25th, Orange County, California. We're going to learn more in one day than all you've done up until then. Thanks all. Have a great day. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye. Thanks.